Hi guys. I wanted to just document an issue that I ran into with the X470 Aorus Gaming 7 Wi-Fi board that I have. So I upgraded to the F50 BIOS, as you can see here. I was originally on F50A when I started this process, but I upgraded to F50 because I saw it was out. I don't honestly think it applies to me because I don't have a 3rd gen Ryzen processor, but I like to be, fairly up to date. If there's any improvements they've made to stuff like IOMMU or something like that, I would like to know because I do some virtualization stuff like that. But I digress. So I was going through after my update and fixing all my settings. Now, I believe that it kept my light colors between the updates, which is kind of cool. But this is the way I had it set up before. It was full red. I mean, didn't really have any issues with it. Looks pretty nice. But, I've had red for a while, and I kind of wanted to change it. So while I was in the BIOS options, I went into peripherals, and I went down to RGB Fusion. I went into RGB Fusion, and I was presented with a menu that I was not expecting. What I was expecting to see was a color wheel with, color selectors at the bottom, the different light modes on the right-hand side, and that's not what I found. Instead, I found this. Initially, I thought maybe it was to save code space. They scrapped that to add the F50 updates or whatever the case was. So, I didn't think about it too much. Luckily, I come from a background of, web design and things of that nature. So I saw this and I immediately recognized what it was. LED hue. So that is a hex code, FF0000. Now, I don't know, some of you RGB heads may already understand that. I don't know that the normal person would understand that, but I just happened to know, and I was like, okay, so that's red. Full red, no green, no blue. Well, I wanted to change my color to green. So I went ahead and to change it, went to 00 FF00. No red, full green, no blue. And I hit enter. What happened there? It went to all Fs. So that's white. That's not what I put in there. Okay, so maybe I don't hit the enter key. Maybe I just move off the field to get it set. Nope, hit the wrong button there. It actually saved that. That's quite interesting. So instead of hitting enter, I will just move off the field, and it does the same thing. Okay, that's really confusing. So I tinkered with this for a little while, and I finally figured out what I could and couldn't do. And it turns out that 2709 is the largest number you can put in this field, kind of. It's very finicky. So I'll try 2710 just to show you FFFFFF. But if I just do FF, that works. It's really weird. So this actually turns it blue. It reads it as all zeros, 2 Fs. So 0 red, 0 green, full blue. And that works as blue. I don't want blue, I want a green. So I found out, like I said, the maximum value I could put in here was 2709. I didn't want any blue in there, so I just made it 2700, went about my day. Go ahead and save that to kind of show you guys what happens here. So it switches to a muted green, which is fine. I actually wanted a muted green because I found that the full green kind of hurts my eyes, or doesn't hurt my eyes, it's distracting at night when I don't have any lights on. And I mean, I like the muted green because A, it's better on my eyes, and B, it's good for the longevity of the LEDs. The less they're on, the longer they last, basically. So that's fine. I mean, I kind of would have liked a slightly brighter green probably, but I mean, that one actually looks kind of nice. But I kind of wanted to show you the other half of this. So the keen-eyed of you will probably have noticed that at the top of this screen, there's another RGB Fusion option. This is the one I went into earlier, and this is the other one. They're both called RGB Fusion. One has a submenu marker, a little red dot there. The other one doesn't. That's kind of confusing. I didn't find this out until later, but I went ahead and I went in there. Now, this is something that most people probably won't see. I noticed that once I set the color to a, quarter green or so, whatever it happens to be, that this color wheel actually is much darker than it typically is, as are these colors here. whereas these colors at the bottom are full brightness. There's a way there we go. That's probably more realistic. So it's pretty weird. So if you select any of these colors, it'll go back to full brightness. You can actually go in this wheel and it stays muted colors, which is kind of cool. But, if I wanted to change color to something else or make it a little brighter, I can't. I can go full brightness, but then at this point, I can't go back to the color that I had. There's no way to select this. There's no brightness option here. The only options you have are the full intensity color or gradienting to white. I don't particularly like any of those colors. I wanted the muted green, and now that I've selected the full green, I can't go back to what I had. Which that's a little annoying. So the issue with the first menu is that the entry for color, putting in your color code, just simply doesn't work as expected. It is broken, just plain broken. And then you have this menu, which is only half functional. Like I said, you can select your color, and for most people, I'm sure that would be fine. But this screen is fairly bright. I don't like that sitting next to me when I'm here with the lights off and stuff, and it's kind of distracting. But I can't actually make it darker from here, so it needs a brightness slider, really. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, look at these design elements here; those are pretty wide. They also had this, crazy circuit board background stuff. I mean, that's kind of cool. They could probably scale it back a little bit. So I figured, if you make that about half the size that it is, they could probably put a brightness adjustment here that gradients from white to black or black to white, however they want to do it. And then you can adjust it so that it would change a color. So clearly, somehow, they already have brightness coded into this little sub-application here, because this color is still dark. So it's available, it's just not accessible. There's no way that I have found to actually adjust the brightness of colors from this menu. The only way to do it was from the other menu that's broken and only works, if you want green or blue, basically. So yeah, it's a little messed up. So there's a couple ways that they can improve just the experience of this board overall. I'm sure it probably applies to other boards as well. But that would be to, add a brightness slider to this bar. I think that would be the number one best option. And that would just give you so much more configurability. I mean, it's still user-friendly. People who don't know hex codes could easily do what they want to do, no problem. The second option, I figured they could probably do, if that was too much time investment or whatever, would be to just make this text entry field work. Make it work like it's supposed to, so I can type in the code that I want, and even though it doesn't update in real time, I can still put in a code, test it. If I don't like it, I can tweak it, whatever the case is. That's the second best option, probably a little easier to implement, assuming somebody actually figures out how to fix that part of it, but the fact that you can't put in the correct color codes. But that leaves us with one problem with this menu, is that it's called RGB Fusion. So is that one. So what I think they should do, if they do opt to keep this menu, would be to rename it like Advanced. So move it up underneath this RGB Fusion, call it Advanced, give it an indent, so you have RGB Fusion, which is your main UI color picker, and then below it you'll have a single indentation. It'll say Advanced. You can click it and type in your own hex codes. That would be fine too, I think. So this all brings me to, why do I care? Why should you care? Well, I don't know. Not that I don't know why I don't care. I care because I run Linux. I don't have the option of running the RGB Fusion app in my operating system to adjust the colors at runtime, because those drivers simply don't exist in Linux. So I'm stuck with whatever color the board wants to boot at any particular point in time. And once it's set, the only way for me to change it is to come into the BIOS and change it. So I like the ability to change it to the color that I actually want in the BIOS. That would be very nice. In this case, I like the subdued green, so it works for me. Wouldn't work for a lot of other people. So I just kind of wanted to point that out. Kind of sloppy on their behalf, to be quite honest, especially with that text entry just not working almost at all. But again, like I said, it's also confusing that they have two different RGB fusion options. So there's a few ways that they can improve that. I just wanted to give my 2 cents. I would like to be able to change select the full range of colors from the BIOS, since I can't do it from the operating system. Or better yet, Gigabyte can make a driver for Linux so I could actually change my colors at runtime. That would be great, but I'm not expecting that anytime soon, to be quite honest. So just my 2 cents. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to put this up on my forum post and we can talk about it.